Hey ladies, Dr. Linda Marquez Goodine here, and as we continue our hormone game, I wanted to teach you about one of my favorite hormones. Remember, hormones have a personality. I give them names, and today is no exception. She is my favorite hormone. I call her Queen Esther, and it's estrogen. The reason I love her so much is because when you start losing her, everything just kind of goes downhill after that. So, estrogen basically just refers to like three types. Estradiol is the major one, estrone, and estriol, one, two, and three. But the favorite, the one that really impacts us, gives us our curves, our smooth skin, our awesome hair. She's the dominant female hormone is estradiol, which would be E2. She impacts your brain health. She impacts your mood. She impacts eyes, lubrication of the eyes, vaginal area, joints, healthy sex drive, impacts our blood sugar. She helps maintain blood flow to our heart so that the vessels are able to dilate. She even impacts, she's like our testosterone because we need estrogen for the powerful muscle contractions of something called actin and myosin. So when we work out, we need that powerful contraction, and estrogen has to be present. When estrogen is not present, there's a lot of things that start to happen. So typically, if a woman is still cycling, her estrogen levels they peak at mid-cycle. That's why she feels her best. She's like smart, she's sharp, she's in a good mood. It's like give her any task and that woman can go. She will get things done. She's very lovable because her mood is so good. So she's super lovable. The problem is that when you start going through that change of life, you hit that fourth decade of life, you start to lose estrogen. You start to decline. The hormonal levels are doing this. So men, if you have a wife, a partner that's in their fourth decade of life, and they're like crying, then they're bitchy, then they're having hot flashes, and it's just like they're gaining weight, let me tell you, it's real. I almost want to call this a divorce hormone because a lot of women do go through the change of life in their 40s. And for 10 years, it could be a roller coaster ride if they don't have the basics, which I'm going to give you, of how to control that. Some women even start going through this change even in their mid-30s, so we'll see more divorce during that time because it does impact their health. They don't feel confident. They're moody. They're gaining weight. They don't feel as powerful, as strong. They're losing their queen. Estrogen literally impacts every single system in your body. And so when we start to lose her, as I said, we try to lose her. It's not a good thing because she's in everybody's business. She's impacting all the other systems in the body. I kind of call her like, if the queen is around, overseeing all the other systems in the body, you're going to be rocking it. Your body's going to do amazing. So some things that we start to see is just pulling up my notes from our workshop because I'm like, oh, I got to tell them this, I got to tell them that. So how do you know you have low estrogen? You can't always test because if you're testing at the wrong time, it may show up low, it may show up high. So you really have to look at one, if you're still having cycles, you need to track them. Females that are no longer or are perimenopausal, you still need to track your cycles. But they're also, when they have low estrogen, they have everything from hot flashes, night sweeps, sleep issues because estrogen impacts serotonin, which impacts melatonin. It also impacts the mood because serotonin has to do with your mood. The hair is just not as vibrant as it used to be. More women will start getting more injuries, a lot of joint injuries. They'll wake up with a frozen shoulder. All their joints just aren't working as well anymore. And they're like, what's going on? I haven't changed anything. I'm still working out. I'm eating clean. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm doing this. But they have more joint pain. So that's super common in perimenopause and menopause when women go through that change of life. So I just remember, she is our testosterone. We need her around as long as possible. So we did talk about, I want to mention a couple other hormones that, you can't just think, because everything that I just mentioned, the gaining the weight, the depression, the GI issues, because a lot of women have a lot of GI issues, will have a tendency for leaky gut. You can't just say, oh, go to your doctor and say my estrogen levels are low. One of the things that also impacts estrogen is insulin, which we already talked about, and even cortisol, which is made by your adrenal glands that impacts it because of stress. We talked about that as well. Now, when you start losing estrogen, you do have a backup system. It's not as powerful. You're not going to make as much estradiol. And that would be your adrenal glands, which do make some estrogen. However, it's not the same. She's the second string quarterback, whereas the estradiol made from your ovaries, I'd say that's your first string quarterback. You want to have her around as long as you can. So what can we do about this? Now that I kind of give you the bad news, or like, oh, it really sucks for women as we go through that change of life, as we lose that. There's a lot of non-pharmacological things that you can do. Number one, you've got to get your nutrition dialed in. You know that I'm always pushing protein. You've got to have adequate amount of protein because we have to build muscle. We're losing muscle as we go through that change of life. So getting your diet dialed in, I've talked lots about that. Clean animal products, removing the seed oils, so sticking to like coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia nut oils, all the oils that aren't going to produce inflammation, because inflammation creates aging. Other things are like vegetables, a variety of vegetables and a small quantity of fruit. I would avoid dairy products unless, you live in an area where you can get raw dairy products that are not pasteurized. Once again, that's something you just have to talk with your provider. Other things that you can do, there's different supplements. I'm going to do a whole video on supplements that I recommend that I use for myself, and I recommend with a lot of my female patients. Vitamin D is so important. Magnesium is important. Fish oils are important, turmeric. There's so much that I can go into, and I'll break those down in another video. What else can you do during this time? Because like I said, when you start losing estrogen, women start getting that belly fat. It's like they're getting soft. They're like, I'm still working out, but yet I'm not gaining weight, but my clothes doesn't fit the same. They got that belly fat. Once again, it's because of that cortisol, and we need estrogen to hold on to muscle. So what else can you do? You got to get your sleep dialed in. You got to minimize your stress. You got to focus on weight training. Don't focus on cardio. That's the number one mistake that women do, is they focus on cardio. Don't focus on cardio. Focus on getting strong. Focus on pushing heavy things, building muscle. That's what you want to focus on. And as I talked about, stress management, sleep, the crowd you hang out with, be careful who you let in your space. Other things are also, what's going in your mind? What are you allowing in your mind? Are you watching the news? Are you listening to negative conversations? You need to walk away from all that. So anyways, that is what I wanted to share with you. Testosterone does impact. I'll talk about that in another video, but just remember, your thyroid and cortisol and insulin, they also impact estrogen. So thyroid I call her Teresa, insulin I call her Inez, cortisol I call Courtney. So all those also impact, they all impact estrogen. So as you can see, I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a minute, but you can never have hormone balance. You won't. Your hormones will never be balanced. You want hormone harmony. That's different. When a woman's pregnant, there's certain hormones that are going to be higher. When a person's going through stress, you don't want estrogen to be high. You want to have that cortisol take you out of that situation. So that's a whole different story. So that is it for now. She's the queen. Now you know why I love her so much. I wish she was hanging around more with me, but she's not. But there are other ways that you can have the backup quarterback, just as what I mentioned. All right, until next time, see ya.